Nigeria is celebrated as the giant of Africa. In its years of existence, the country has seen some giant leadership steering the affairs of state. Our story is about the wives of these incredibly great men and the role the women played in setting them on course of greatness and service to the nation. They are the mothers of the nation.
I wish to make our position plain beyond any matter of doubt as regards the African continent. We in Nigeria appreciate the advantages which the size of our country and of its population give us, but we have absolutely no aggressive intentions.
Flora Azikiwe. Flora was involved in the politics of Zik and the NCC actively. She was forward-thinking and hands-on. Flora was part of the struggle for independence and nationalism that her husband spearheaded. She died in 1983, leaving her husband behind.
Mrs. Flora Azikiwe, who was she and the Governor General then, as he was before he became president in 1963, were something of a very visible power couple. When her husband became president, being still a ceremonial office, at the ceremony at the Tafawa Balewa Square, she was very much by his side. In fact, in the official motorcade, the old back in the days on at the race course, before it became the Tafawa Balewa Square, there would be a parade, and the president, as he became, drove round the parade ground, acknowledging the cheers of the crowd, and at his side, quite interestingly, was his wife. If you want to call her First Lady, Mrs. Flora Azikiwe.
Uche Azikiwe. She was a younger wife of Zik. Uche is an intellectual who danced her way to a scholarship as a little girl and became the comfort of a great man when he needed it most.
My elder sister was, because she's now late, the leading dancer, and I come last, 4 of us. My sister leads, and I will come at the rear. Okay. And you know that dancing, the leader and the rear dancers are the best. So it was after the dancing, during the campaign, that a representative from my area, Chief Nigerian, was contacted by Zik, and then that those who danced, that he want to help. By then, I think I had taken my standard 6. My sister was trained as a teacher by my father. Immediately after the war, to show how kind he was, I don't know, but I know that he sent my father money. He sent my school fees to complete my secondary education. All those he had something to do with. He sent them money to enable them recover from the war. Yeah. So he sent my father some money. I don't know how much it was, but I think either twice or once immediately after the war. And it helped the family to stabilize and take off from the war devastation. So after the secondary school, and then when I went for preparation to go for this nursing school, he said, okay, why don't you stay action now? Let's see. I will get in touch with the hospital in London. It seems that God had another plan. Before the arrangement for the hospital for training as a nurse, something else came in, and we became married.
Victoria Agui Ronsi. Despite the tragedy of the death of her husband in office, the matriarch has survived to live a full life and to dance well enough in the celebration of life and longevity.
With the nature of the times, the unstable political environment, it wasn't, let's say that the head of state did not do a lot of socializing, within the context of state events. So she was not as visible a presence.
Victoria Gowon was the nightingale among them. She was a nurse who cared for the profession as a whole. Her wedding was the stuff of reality television, and the whole nation watched agog. What a day it must have been.
Two of the most influential first ladies in building the culture of the first lady in the early stage were Mrs. Flora Zikiwe and indeed Victoria Gowon. And obviously Mrs. Gowon had quite a longer period in office. She became the first lady in 1969 and lasted till 1975 when the government of General Gowon was equally overthrown. She was a very well-loved first lady. There's no question about it, She was very well loved. She was and also within the same culture of elegant, well-groomed, well-spoken, cultivated first ladies. She was, a visible presence at the side of General Gowon. They were clearly a very couple in love.
Ajoke Mohammed, the wife of the most beloved leader whose time as head of state was tragically cut short. Ajoke took strength and proceeded to make an impact in life with incredible projects in conservation. She has the largest and richest botanical gardens this side of the world.
The First Lady, Mrs. Mohammed, who was a Yoruba, naturally, and who also had a very elegant, she was actually well-spoken, I believe she was an educated woman, she was well-schooled, but at the same time she kept a very restrained public presence. She was not constantly seen. But having said that, you find that he was in office from July 1975 till February. It wasn't a very long time, so we do not know how that status would have changed over the years.
Peace and stability and prosperity in Nigeria. We have a great deal of potential, and this potential could be put to the best use not only of Nigeria but of Africa in general.
Sutra, Aishatu, and Hadiza Shagari. Shagari's perspective on the issues of wives' involvement in official government duties reflected that of Balewa and his wives. They were a model of traditional African and Islamic culture of modesty and propriety.
He never made any apologies for the fact that his spouse was not to be a visible presence, and that was just the way it was, and it didn't detract from whatever he achieved or failed to achieve. It was simply that he had a job to do as a president and he got on with the job.
Safinatu Buhari. Safinatu was Muhammad Buhari's first wife during his first stint in the helm of affairs. An educated woman, Safinatu died after being ill. She's fondly remembered by all those who loved her.
Mrs. Buhari was a strong first lady, whilst also Major General Buhari was of high pedigreed northern stock. He was also a fairly conservative background. The first lady she was a presence, but she was not always seen. I mean, she wasn't like all constantly out, but she would at least be seen at a couple of events. Least of all, when visiting heads of state came, she would accompany the wives or the first ladies of the visiting heads of state. So she was a presence, and there are public photographs of her, and the like, unlike the others.
Tales of childhood, hail motherhood. I'm a son to be old until I am old, a locksmith that fixes old locks. I'm a queen, clothed in royal linen, and my humble abode greatness leans in. I'm a woman, not just a woman, I'm a phenomenal woman. I'm a woo man, and the sun is nothing but a button on my crown. I'm a woman. Not a punching bag or a stepping rag. I'm a stepping stone to greatness, not a tool for pleasure. I'm a priceless treasure. I'm a woo man, graced with dignity, laced with divinity. I'm a woman, and I wear my femininity like a smile. My warrior heels on, I can conquer any mal. My strides create ripples, my mind makes magic. Twinkle, twinkle, I am that star. I'm a woman dignified. I'm a woo man, in the excellence of my smiles, the confidence of my lips, the stride of my steps. I'm a woman, in the silence of our noisiness, the violence of our calmness. I'm a woman, in the tenacity of our work, the glowing of our passion, the strength of our being. I'm a woman, one of inestimable, invaluable value. I have a voice, I have a choice, I have a soul that cannot be controlled. I'm a woman, and I am beautiful. So if you were a woman, be you to the full, and I remain proudly a woman.
The Better Life program has the interest and welfare of every woman, orphan, disabled, and the widow. This was what motivated us to research into widowhood practices throughout the country. Today, I am happy to say that the Better Life program's efforts in solving the problem of widows are gradually paying off.
Mariam Babangida. She was the energetic and beautiful wife of IBB and was a person to reckon with in her own right. The founder of the Better Life program for rural women, among others. She went ahead to found centers of learning to build future generations. Her impact continues to affect generations to come via all her exploits. Mariam died 10 years ago as a result of cancer. We still mourn her loss as we celebrate her life.
I want to appeal to every one of you to see the need for us, all of us, to join hands together to make Nigeria a better country, in fact, the best country. What the women of this country is trying to do is just to assist the men in doing their work, because we are partners in progress. We are by your side and not behind you. And all that has created us, both man and woman, is so. We are to assist one another and not leave the other behind.
She took the baton from Mrs. Flora Azikiwe. She definitely took the baton from her. She gave character and visibility to the office of the First Lady, and I think they actually gave form to the office of the First Lady. She was a strong presence. She was also a very strong personality. And they were something of a power couple, because it was clear that she was not one to hide in the background. She had a message, she had a mission, and she pursued that.
As a former military officer, one of the characteristics of a good soldier is adaptability, to be able to adapt to any changing circumstances. And over the years, I have been able to adapt to the current situation. That's a fact. That's a hard reality of life. There's nothing I could do about it. So I have to adapt. On a daily basis, an event could always happen that tells me, oh, I wished she were there. A, B, C, D would not have happened, or A, B, C, D would have happened. This is on a daily occurrence.
I mean, you know, no one will ever agree on the actions of those in public office. So it's not a question of of it being a popularity contest. What we can certainly agree is that she definitely gave life to the office of the First Lady, and indeed she instituted a program, the Better Life for Women program, which was effectively taking things on from what Flora Azikiwe had done.
Margaret Shonekon. The strength of Margaret is easy to overlook due to the brief stint and the difficult leadership Ernest Shonekon was saddled with in a time Nigeria needed to sail through stormy weather. In 84 days, she stood firmly, giving her husband the necessary emotional support he needed to stabilize the ship. Today, she is still at it, a well-accomplished career woman with an aversion for the limelight.
Shonekon had a very short time in office, let's just put it that way, because obviously it was an interim government, and I think the head of the interim government has certainly had more important things to deal with, the national crisis, than social events.
Mariam Abacha. Mariam was another beautiful siren. She could have been Miss World, but instead, she fell in love with a young soldier, not knowing what destiny has in store for her. She did her bit for women, family life, and the nation in the 5 years they were in Aso Rock. The National Hospital Abuja, among other things, is credited to her. Her passion for good still stands her in good stead.
The First Lady, either from the national up to state, up to local government, have a responsibility of taking care of their locality, either at federation level, at state level, or at local government level. I think they should come out and assist their husbands, assist their people, and build schools for them, teach them, give them a lot of training and so on, so that a lot of people are self-employed. And there will be the reduction of poverty, and then that will bring a lot of happiness and contentment among people. And there won't be a lot of bitterness and malice in the society.
Once again, we were now to find another First Lady who had a very strong, visible presence. And also, she kind of duplicated a lot of the templates that Mrs. Babangida had indeed enacted. She was a very good-looking woman, also very, very elegant, and clearly had a strong personality on her own. She had her own programs. The FSP program was her baby, which is kind of like very similar to the Better Life for Women.
My hobby is still helping people. People still come to me, please, madam, my children's school fees, please, madam, this, that, all sorts of excuses. But if we try small, out of nothing, the kind words will keep them happy, even if there's no money.
Fati Abubakar. She was a High Court Justice, and even while her husband occupied the #1 position in the country, her passion for law and justice was not swept aside. She added to that the responsibility of First Lady, running her own pet projects and going back to her judicial work when the government handed over to a civilian government.
She was actually the First Lady to have held public office before her husband got into power, and continued in office as a judge, I believe, of the Federal High Court. And she also had a low profile because she was a serving judge, and as a serving judge, your disposition to running independent programs is clearly limited.
Stella Obasanjo.
I want to say that it is not easy to attain this age of 70. Those of us coming behind have not found it easy. And I do not even know if we may attain that age. I only pray that we attain that age.
Stella was a strong woman. Like the other first ladies, she was an Amazon. She showed her strength of character when her husband was incarcerated.
A glamorous first lady. She was very glamorous, she came from a very privileged background. Her father was, a corporate lion, Dr. Christopher Bebe. So she was a woman used to, the trappings of office of the head of state. Certainly did not hold any fear for her, and she maintained a strong visible presence, until she sadly passed away after an illness.
As a first lady, she was beloved and did things in her style. A fashionable and glamorous woman, she was actively engaged in the lives of the people. Stella died shortly before her 60th birthday. Turai Yar'Adua, another strong first lady who had a trying season in that position due to her husband's ill health and eventual death. Yar'Adua's government took off on a promising note to give way to life's vagaries. In spite of that, she did fabulously well, and one of her achievements was a cancer care center.
Our intention is to make government realize that as the issue of AIDS has passed, because now when you have HIV/AIDS, it's no longer a certificate to die. You can treat it, you can manage it, you can even have children that are not HIV positive. So now our aim is to make government now to put cancer now so that we know how to prevent it, awareness, and also people to come out that for early treatment. Some people hide because of fear of this stigma that, okay, she has cancer. In other places, they call them witches and other things. And the men also hide because they don't, if they have prostate cancer, they don't want their wives to know because they will say, okay, it's something contagious or something. They always hide until it is too late. So we want that to stop.
Within the same hybrid of conservative northern spouse, but with a presence, with visibility. Visibility had almost become now par for the course.
There are warriors in dinner gown. There are women with intellect so loud you need no speaker to hear it. There are praises too complex for business gurus to pitch. There are love addicts with love addiction too chronic for therapy. There are extinguishers of ignorance in the process of burning. There are mysteries on platter too much for anyone to exhaust. There are women, donors in corporate firms, Amazons in government. There are women. There are the portals of life, the reason generations come to light. Like God, they are down to earth to grow the earth into fruitfulness. They are mothers of the earth, mothers of nations. They are the empire of strength and goodness. They are women.
Patience Jonathan. Mama Peace, as she was fondly referred to, was an equally passionate first lady who stood behind her husband solidly, a politician in her own right, and one who was always on hand to help make things work.
I promise to give my wholehearted service to the task of global child safety in the cyberspace.
I want to call on you, my dear young ones, to join us in prayers so that Boko Haram will release our daughters, your sisters, and friends. It is only through education that you are able to realize their dreams and contribute meaningfully to your community and the nation.
She was a political activist, in a sense. She broke the model of the shy retiring first lady. She was very robust. She was very communicative. She was certainly a very strong supporter of her husband and certainly made you know that she supported her husband.
Any one of these women show the capacity and mettle to be presidential. It was like life prepared them for the roles they would play, and each made a mark in the destiny outlined for them, running a race started by their life partners and going on to complete and adorn and sometimes repair.
It's the time to make them realize women's rights. So don't let nobody tell you, say, you be woman, you're not supposed